Welcome back to another What's for Dinner. For this night's dinner, we are doing beef enchiladas. For this dinner, I used ground beef, medium cheddar cheese, Monterey Jack, enchilada sauce, an onion, and some flour tortillas. I'm gonna start off by dicing 1/2 of an onion. To a pan over medium heat, I'm just gonna go ahead and brown up my ground beef. And I'm just going to season this up with some garlic salt, black pepper, and some onion powder. Next, I'm just adding in my onions. And while my ground beef and onions are cooking, I'm going to go ahead and shred up this cheese. And now to make the enchiladas, to a tortilla, I'm going to add a few spoonfuls of my meat mixture. Next, I'm going to add in a handful of some cheese, and I'm going to roll it up burrito style. And to a greased baking dish, I'm going to add some enchilada sauce to the bottom of the pan, and then I'm going to lay in my enchiladas. I'm going to add some more enchilada sauce to the top of these, and then I'm going to coat with a nice portion of cheese. And you can add whatever toppings you like to this. My family likes these Kamala olives. We also like to do some jalapenos on top. And I'm going to cover this with foil and bake it at 350 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes until everything's cooked. And for my side tonight, I'm just going to do a side salad. I have some sweet and crunchy lettuce, some tomatoes, a leftover onion, and a leftover cucumber. And now that our enchiladas are done, they're nice and cheesy, bubbly, gooey, I'm going to go ahead and serve it up. And dinner is done. And for this night's dinner, we are doing saffron chicken. And my husband's helping me cook tonight, and he started off by chopping up one bunch of fresh cilantro. And next he diced up one whole onion. And next he minced up 4 garlic cloves. And for this recipe, we are using a whole chicken. He's going to go ahead and chop that up in quarters. And for the seasoning, to a bowl, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of ground ginger, 1 teaspoon of ground turmeric, 1 teaspoon of cumin, and we're going to go ahead and give that a little mix. Next, we're going to add in a pinch of salt and some fresh ground pepper. And next, we're going to fully coat the chicken breast in our mixture. I also want to warn you that the turmeric inside this mixture stained my cutting boards, my counter, and my utensils, so just be aware of that when making this recipe. Into a pan over medium heat, I'm going to add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil, and I'm going to add my chicken in and cook that up until it's brown. We're going to cook this again in the oven, so you don't want to cook it fully, about maybe 2 to 3 minutes per side. We're just going to get a nice charring on the outside. And this is what your chicken should look like after it's done browning. Into the same pan that we cooked our chicken in, you are going to add 1/4 cup of butter. Next, you're going to add in your chopped onion. And once your onions are soft, you're going to add in 1 tablespoon of flour. Next, you're going to add in 2 cups of chicken broth, 1 cinnamon stick, and a few strands of saffron. Next, we're adding in a decent pinch of salt, and we're going to stir to combine. Into a sprayed baking dish, we are going to add our broth mixture to the bottom. Again, I'm using a small baking dish because we live in Japan and have to cook everything in an air fryer, but you're more than welcome to use a 9x12. And next we are going to add our chicken to the baking dish. Let me tell you, this recipe at first was very intimidating for me. A lot of steps, a lot of ingredients I've never used before. This thing was easy. This thing came out great. I really recommend you try this recipe. It's not as intimidating as it looks. And next we're going to ladle the broth over the chicken. We're going to fill it about halfway full. So you want to make sure you're cooking this skin side up. We're going to go ahead and cover this in foil and cook it for 30 minutes at 350 degrees. Halfway through, we're going to go ahead and flip the chicken and take off the foil and cook a remaining 30 minutes. And for our side tonight, we are going to make this saffron rice to go with our dinner. We're going to start off by mincing 4 garlic cloves. Into a stock pot over medium heat, we're going to add some olive oil. Then we're going to add in our minced garlic. We're going to go ahead and saute that up until it's fragrant and starting to turn brown. And next we're going to add in 2 cups of chicken broth. And we're going to add in a pinch of salt and some fresh black pepper. And next we're going to add in 1 cup of long grain rice that has been washed in cold water. And once the rice has been brought to a boil, we're going to turn it down to medium-low heat. We're going to cook the rice until it soaks up the broth. And for our next side tonight, I'm doing some garlic naan bread. Into a mixing bowl, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of dry active yeast, and 1/4 cup of water at room temperature. I'm going to go ahead and combine these and let them sit for 10 minutes until bubbles start to rise on the surface. Into a separate bowl, I'm going to add 4 cups of flour. I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and now it's been 10 minutes. We are going to add 1/2 cup of plain yogurt to our yeast mixture. We're also going to add in 3/4 cup of milk at room temperature, and we're going to give that a stir. Into my flour mixture, I'm going to make a little hole in the middle. I'm going to add in our yeast mixtures a little bit at a time, mixing as I go until a soft dough forms. Into a lightly floured surface, I'm going to go ahead and knead my dough. And once my dough is done, I'm going to add it to this oiled bowl. I'm going to cover it with some saran wrap and I'm going to let it sit for 2 hours. It's been about 2 hours. Our dough is done. It has doubled in size. We are just going to go ahead and take it out of the bowl, and I'm just going to cut it up into 8 equal pieces, and I'm going to lay those on a lightly dusted surface, and I'm going to roll those out. Into a heated cast iron skillet with a little bit of butter, I'm going to go ahead and add my naan bread. I'm going to cook for a few seconds until it starts to bubble on top, and then I'm going to flip it. At this time, you can also add in any toppings that you choose. I'm going to add in some cilantro and mixed garlic. The chicken is done and out of the oven. I'm going to top it with cilantro and dish up our plates. This dinner was beyond amazing. The flavors were something I cannot describe. We made this again another night. That's how great it was. And dinner is done. And for this night's dinner, we are doing chicken tostadas. I'm going to start off by making some shredded chicken in the crock pot. This chicken is going to last me for a few nights worth of dinners. Into my chicken breast, I'm just going to add some salt and pepper, some garlic salt, some ground cumin, some onion powder, and some smoked paprika. And I'm just adding in 1 cup of chicken stock, and I'm going to cook this on low for 4 to 6 hours until the chicken comes out tender. And for my tostadas tonight, I'm going to start off by dicing 1 onion. I'm also going to be dicing up these cherry tomatoes along with some cilantro. And for the tortillas tonight, I'm just using these Chi-Chi's white corn taco style corn tortillas. Into a skillet over medium heat, I'm just going to go ahead and fry my tortillas until they're crispy. Alright, and it's been about 8 hours later. My chicken is cooked and shredded. Now that all my ingredients are done, I'm just going to put together my tostada. For a side/topping to my dinner tonight, I made some homemade refried beans. I did not want this video to be too long, so I'm going to add that recipe to my description box down below. And dinner is done. And for this night's dinner, we are doing Mexican chicken casserole. And for this recipe, I'll be using shredded chicken, black beans, rotel, corn, tortilla strips, cilantro, Mexican cheese, sour cream, salt, garlic powder, and some cumin. I'm going to start off by draining and washing my black beans, draining the rotel, and draining the corn. And this recipe is super easy. You're going to start out by adding 4 cups of shredded chicken to a bowl. Add in 1 can of black beans. Add in 1 can of rotel. Add in 1 can of sweet corn. 1 teaspoon of salt. 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. And 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. And mix to combine. Now to a baking dish, you're going to go ahead and spray it with some non-stick spray. And I'm going to add half my tortilla strips to the bottom of the dish. Next, I'm going to layer with a nice handful of cheese. And then I'm going to add in my chicken bean mixture. And then I'm going to add another layer of cheese. Depending on the size of your baking dish, you can go ahead and layer this as many times as you'd like. And then to top this off, I'm just going to add the remaining tortilla strips to the top. And I'm just going to bake this in the oven at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. Then as a side tonight, I'm just going to do this coarse Spanish rice. I'm just going to cook that up to the directions on the back of the bag. And as my final side, I'm just going to cook up this broccoli florets. This recipe was super quick and easy to make, super cheap. My kids absolutely loved it. I was kind of worried with the black beans, but this is a 10 out of 10. I will definitely make again. And dinner's done.